Hi everyone, hope everyone's having a good day. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you can all hear me. We'll give everyone a couple more minutes to join, but feel free to say hi in the attendee chat. Say hi to each other. But yeah, we'll give everyone a minute or two just to join. Hope everyone's got either a cup of coffee or in my case, a cup of tea, just to get you through the day. It's almost Friday, guys. We can do this. Okay, we might as well get started. It's 1 minute past, but hopefully a couple more people will join over the next couple of minutes. But thank you everyone for joining. My name's Jess. If you don't know me, I am new to the APAC team. We'll do a quick intro in a second, but make sure you get comfortable and welcome to Collecting Meaningful Feedback with Blink. We're going to kind of explore how to make sure that all your frontline are giving you as much feedback as possible, and then you can continue that feedback loop to help your business. Just a quick one to meet your Blink APAC team. So this is your new and improved APAC team. I'm Jess. I'm from London, as you can probably tell from the very British accent. I've just moved out here to help Tom with some of our customers down in this region. I recognise a couple of your names, but for those of you who don't know me, it's nice to meet you. For those of you who I have met, nice to see you again. Thank you for joining. I have actually been working for Blink for about 4 years now, but I've relocated down under to give some of our customers a little bit more love, a little bit more affection, just making sure that you're getting the most value out of Blink and the product. So I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, will see my name over email at some point over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, we'll get introduced at some point. Most of you would have interacted with Tom already, but like I said, I'm just here to lend a helping hand where I can. Tom is actually on leave this week, and this is my first ever webinar. So I'm doing it alone. I mean, talk about, throwing someone in at the deep end. But I really hope you can all hear me because I haven't actually got anyone next to me to tell me whether you can hear me. So fingers crossed it's all going well. But yeah, please do let me know if there are any technical issues or if you can't hear me, that'd be great. Well, if you can't hear me, then anyway. Lovely. Okay, so moving on. So for today's agenda, we have 30 minutes today. We've got a fairly packed agenda, so I'm just going to dive in. Just as a reminder, you can send some questions using the Q&A panel. It should be on your right-hand side. I will try and monitor these throughout the session. But obviously, depending on how much time we have, we might have to do it at the end. And also trying to navigate doing a webinar and talk and check on all the attendees and also checking questions. I'm not sure I'll be able to do it at the same time, so we might have to leave that to the end if we have time. So firstly, I'm going to quickly walk through our masterclass series. Then I'm going to quickly walk through our roadshow that we're doing next month, and just a quick reminder on that one. Then we're going to be diving into how you can best collect meaningful feedback from your frontline teams. So that's going to include how to surface these through surveys, through journeys, and through forms as well. So for anyone who is fairly kind of like brand new to Blink or brand new to these features, we'll be going through the basics of what they are, how to set them up. But for those of you who are somewhat familiar with these features, we'll go into a little bit more detail about their capabilities, and hopefully this will spark a little bit of inspiration for you. Then, like I said, if we have some time, I'll answer any questions that you might have. Cool. Okay, we're going through the masterclass series. So over the years, we've had a lot of requests to do these kind of masterclass webinar type things more locally, because we've done them historically in the UK or in the US, but we had lots of people ask if we could do them locally. So thank you for joining. Last month, Tom conducted one on journeys and the onboarding experience. So if you haven't managed to watch that yet, the next slide, I've got a link to there so you can watch that. Today, we're going to be talking about collecting feedback from your frontline teams. Next month, the date is to be confirmed, but we're planning to do a bit of a product roadmap with our VP of product. So this is going to be really helpful for the people that we can't see on our roadshow next month. This will kind of like tell you what's coming up in the next couple of months to years and really what's top of mind for us. But watch this space for this one. And then in December, we're going to be running through our kind of best practice for user management. I know a lot of our customers manually update their users, manually invite them, manually deactivate them. So we're going to spend a little bit of time, hopefully in December, if all goes well, we're going to be spending a little bit of time talking through how to automate that process with user syncs. And like I said, in case you missed the one from last month, I've linked it here and I'll send these slides to you afterwards. This is a really, really key one about journeys, and I'm going to touch on journeys a little bit today, so it'll be really useful for you to look back on those if you haven't already gone through them. And really quickly, just a massive thank you to all of you who signed up for our roadshow. We have a very, very action-packed agenda. I don't know how we're going to get it all in, but I'm very excited to visit all different parts of Australia and also New Zealand, so I'll see some of you there. We are completely full now, so if you haven't managed to register interest, it's totally fine. Can't do it this time, but we're planning to do it next year as well, hopefully January, February time. So if you don't get to go to this one, we'll see you next year. Obviously, depending on how successful this one will be, but fingers crossed, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. Cool. Okay, so now for the good stuff, the reason why you're actually here. So one of the main reasons why Blink is such a useful and powerful tool is because it approaches communication both from the top down, so managers to frontline, but also it really encompasses that bottom up approach, so frontline to managers and to SLT. So our customers, particularly my customers who have succeeded the most in the past and have really gotten the most value out of Blink, those are going to be the ones who are allowing their frontline teams to actually speak to them, give feedback, voice their opinions, be able to kind of tell their managers how they're feeling. That's what really elevates that kind of employee experience, and it makes it something that businesses are really proud to have. And Blink manages to do this, by the core features. You've got the feed, you've got the hub, you've got chats, so you can do that kind of bi-directional communication through those core features. But what a lot of our customers don't realize is that there are additional uncore features that you can use to actually achieve this as well. So I will be discussing Blink's survey tool, which provides out-of-the-box survey functionality for anything like annual engagement, check-ins, post-initiative check-ins or surveys, that kind of thing. Then we're going to talk about our forms functionality, which is a more flexible solution that can accommodate slightly longer standing feedback collection and feedback loops. And then I'm also going to briefly touch on how you can pair forms and journeys together to collect ongoing feedback from new hires throughout their onboarding experience, just to make that experience for them extra slick. And it allows you to gather that feedback from new starters from day one to 3 years down the line. So as we start to think about collecting feedback from our employees, it's super important to nail down exactly what we're trying to achieve. So to really make an impact, we want our surveys to be regular and timely, accessible, and also actionable. So regular and timely, this just means making sure that your users feel happy giving feedback. They're used to it. They're in the habit of doing it. So doing it, maybe once a year is better than doing it once every 10 years, for example. So getting them in the habit of doing it and making them feel comfortable with sharing their thoughts is a really key element of this. And also making sure you're picking the right moment. So you don't want to be sharing a survey when there's tons going on in the business, or if there's a lot of business transformation, or there's a lot of other projects and initiatives going on. You want your survey to kind of get the attention that it deserves. So making sure that it's timely is also really important. Accessible, so you need to make sure that it's accessible to everyone. Paper processes don't always work. Having it on desktop doesn't always work. So just making sure that you have a very clear call to action, making sure it's simple to fill out, and using different ways to approach different people. That's the best way you're going to get the responses that you need. And then finally, probably the most important one is actionable. So employees need to see that their feedback actually leads to something. You'd be surprised at how many of my customers have said to me many times, we've done surveys in the past, but we just haven't done anything about them. That's kind of not really what you want to be doing. You want to be making sure that your employees feel like there's actually action being taken, and then they feel a little bit more comfortable sharing their thoughts, their opinions, and then again, it kind of loops back to feeling a little bit more in the habit of sharing their feedback. So those are some key elements that we're going to talk about throughout this session as well. So collecting meaningful feedback through our survey functionality. To help you hit these survey goals, Blink gives you two great survey options. So you've got pulse surveys and you've got multi-question surveys, and these are each built out for slightly different feedback needs. So pulse surveys are available to everyone on all tiers. So whether you're in business or enterprise tier, you're going to have access to pulse surveys. These are one quick question surveys that are kind of check-ins to see how your employees are doing. They're perfect for getting a really quick feel for things between your kind of longer or your more detailed surveys. So for example, you might ask, on a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with your current role? And then you can track that score over time and see how that compares to your annual survey over the years. Multi-question surveys, this is available to all of those on our enterprise plan, or if you're on business plan and you're paying a little bit extra to get that survey functionality, you can use these to really dig a little bit deeper into your employee feedback. So the survey builder will let you create longer, more comprehensive surveys with a bunch of different question types. And this just means that you can kind of gather detailed feedback on important topics like overall engagement, well-being, onboarding experience, and so on. A couple of things to note with these surveys is surveys are time sensitive, which means you would need to add a start date and an end date. So whether that's for an annual employee survey over a 2-week period, or if it's just a quick post-project survey to get some feedback on it, that lasts for 2 days. Either way, you do need to set a start date and an end date. And also, another key thing to note is that both types of surveys are anonymous. So it makes it super clear to the user when they're filling out the survey that it's completely anonymous. We can't see who's written it. And even from the back end, from the admin perspective, you won't be able to see who said what to what responses. However, just between us, although this is recorded, we are releasing a feature really, really soon, which will allow you to collect unanonymized feedback on surveys, and these will be trackable. And again, it will tell the user that it's trackable and we can see their profile fields and where they're coming from. But don't tell too many people. Watch this space. It's a new feature coming. Cool. To truly make the most of your kind of survey functionality and your feedback, it really helps to think about this in a bit of a process. So you've got before the survey, you've got during the survey, and then you've got after the survey. So I'll walk you through some best practices and show you how Blink can help you succeed at each of these steps. First of all, obviously, before the survey, this is going to be about building it. So it's all about planning, setting up your questions, making sure that you are setting out to achieve what you want to achieve and actually knowing what you want to achieve. So what insights are you hoping to get? What decisions will this information help to drive? And Blink offers a library of pre-built questions that you can choose from, but it also gives you the flexibility to create your own custom questions if you want to. And every question will come with a different way of how you can respond to it. So for example, we've got agreement and opinion scales, which is great for putting a bit of a number on how people are feeling. Yes or no, which is for clear, straightforward answers. Free text, so that's, just to get open-ended thoughts and detailed feedback. And then multiple choice as well, which is you can kind of instruct people on which one they want to do. It's just a multiple choice question one. You can also create your own custom questions, and then you can link them to specific topics. So topics are really good for grouping different questions into different themes. And then you can use these themes to kind of focus your attention and follow up. So for example, you could have topics like recognition, communication, career development, that kind of thing. And you, as the people who will be collecting this feedback, you can then easily categorize these questions and responses to these themes, and then let people know about these themes once you've actually collected that data. Once your survey is designed and it's live and you've got people answering left, right and centre, the during phase is all about getting as many people to respond as possible. So since your employees are already using Blink on a day-to-day basis, we have a couple of tools which will help you to maximise the amount of people that are responding to your surveys. So first of all, you can't miss it. It's a prominent mobile taskbar. So this orange taskbar down here, it is eye-catching, you can't miss it, you really can't. And it's just a little reminder every single day to prompt people to fill out the survey. The next one is you can actually send targeted feed posts to people saying, hi, Jess, you haven't filled out the survey, please can you go ahead and click this button and fill it out here. Another one is a little bit of healthy competition, which doesn't really hurt. I think it's always useful to have a bit of healthy competition where you can. You'll have participation analytics. So from the moment that you actually launch your survey, you'll see the percentage of people that have participated and who have responded. So for example, you could see 70% in X team has participated, whereas only 30% in Y team has participated. And so you could post on the feed saying like, oh, X team is doing amazing, whereas Y team, you need to pick up the slack. So that always helps with getting responses as well. And then finally, we have automated close date reminders. So these are kind of like full screen takeovers on mobile and desktop to remind people that they have a survey to complete, and they'll get this full screen takeover 1 day before the closed date of the survey, 1 hour before the deadline, and then also on the actual day, and then 1 hour before the deadline. And that will really help you drive those kind of final responses and get as many people to respond as possible. Then the after phase, that's all about understanding your results, understanding what these results are telling you, and being able to kind of analyze them in the best way possible. So once that survey wraps up, you'll get a complete built-in analytics overview natively in the admin panel. And then that gives you kind of an immediate look at your survey sentiment. So whether it's positive, neutral, negative, and also your overall scores by question. But then you can also dig a little bit deeper. Over here, you can see that you've got each question and their sentiment, but you can dive into each of those questions and then break that down by company, department, line manager, job title, location, and team. So your line managers will be able to see what they're doing really well in and what they're not doing really well in. And you can kind of break it down as much as you can. As long as you've got those details stored in Blink, then Blink will be able to break that down for you. And whilst having all that data is, of course, great, it's really impactful, it's really what we do with that data. Like I said before about it being actionable, it's really what you do with that data that really helps you make a difference and make that impactful. Blink helps you turn these insights into real action. So you can set clear expectations for your managers based on what the survey data tells you. So for example, if your company scores really low on recognition as a theme or as a topic, you might set a goal for managers to post 2 or 3 recognition messages or posts a month, for example. You can also leverage our dynamic feeds feature or our mail merge feature to let you individually remind managers about how many recognition posts they've sent, how many more they have to do, and just to remind them that you're doing this initiative to help with your employee feedback experience. And then finally, you can always monitor this progress using our Blink IQ Advanced Analytics add-on, which will just allow you to see how many people are spreading recognition, how your engagement is increasing over time, and just seeing how your efforts are making a bit of a difference to your business. Just a reminder, whilst we do have those multi-question surveys available for our enterprise customers, we also do have those shorter pulse surveys available to everyone. And you know what, even if you are on the enterprise tier. Having one big survey is great, but it's always really useful to have pulse surveys in between them. So maybe like a quarterly pulse survey just to check in. It gives your teams enough time to kind of address that feedback from past surveys, measure if those actions have been successful, and just identify areas or gaps for improvement as well. And that just helps you to create a continuous loop of feedback and improvement. And again, it just fosters that kind of employee trust and encouragement to provide feedback on a regular basis. So lovely. So that was how you can leverage surveys. Now I'm going to kind of talk about forms and digital forms and how you can keep feedback coming in all the time, which builds a culture where people feel heard constantly. So whereas surveys were useful for like annual engagement or like a specific certain period of time, forms can be used slightly longer term, and they're a little bit more flexible as well. So we have the native form functionality in Blink, which is best for ongoing data capture, workflows, operational feedback. And we can also integrate with third-party tools. So like Microsoft Forms, Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, Typeform, any kind of like external features that you're using or products that you're using, we can integrate with them as well. If you don't currently have an external form provider, or maybe you're looking to replace this with another feature, i.e. Blink, I'll walk you through how you can use the digital forms in the native digital forms functionality in Blink and how it works. If you're on the enterprise tier, you'll have access to our native form feature in the admin panel. So you can go in here, you can build new forms, you can edit existing ones, you can distribute those to your frontline. And depending on your level of access, you'll be able to see form submissions as well. So within the native form feature, there is a couple of different elements on there. So you could do digital signatures. You can do a photo or a file upload. So if there's an accident report, you can take a photo of it and upload it onto your form. You can do conditional logic. So if user says yes to this question, show them these 4 questions. If they say no, only show them 2 of those questions. We also have long form free text, short form free text, multiple choice, checklists, dynamic panels, the whole lot. The list is endless. But importantly, a really, really key element here is that you can distribute your submissions to the right people depending on the submitter's information. So what I mean by that is that you can configure your email notifications for your form submissions, meaning that if, for example, I'm a bus driver and I work in the Sydney depot, I want my annual leave request, for example, to go to HR and my manager. So you can configure those email notifications to get sent to whoever's in HR and my manager, depending on my job title, location, department, line manager, etc. So this just means that the right people are receiving the right forms at the right time, and it's reducing noise and admin for those who don't necessarily need to have access to that form submission or that feedback. Once you've created those forms, whether it's in the Blink native form builder or whether it's externally with another provider, you can add these forms into the hub so that your frontline teams can always see them when they need to. So to do this, you need to navigate to the admin panel, go to the hub, add content, add a form. If it's external, just add the link to the form like you would normally. And if it's a Blink form, you can just select Blink and you can choose which form. There'll be a drop-down menu. You can just choose which form you want to display on the hub. Give it a name, share it with the right audience, and then you can share that on the feed for a little bit of extra attention to make sure that people are filling it out when they can. This is one a little bit more for the tech team. So if you're not super technical, you can just forward this onto them. But we do have API capabilities, which will allow you to take information from form submissions and feed them into third-party tools. So that just means that your kind of workflows, everything's automated, and it just reduces that admin of having to download, export, analyze all your data. There's a way to automate that process through APIs so that it's just all done for you. Throughout my time as a customer success manager, the number one question I always get asked from all of my customers across the board is, How are your other clients doing it? What's worked really well for them? Do you have any examples from other people in the industry? Like, what is working really well? I want to know everything. And what are like best case practices? So I thought I would quickly list out a couple of these. This is just a quick form, a quick list of all the forms that a lot of my other customers have used, and how they've kind of collected feedback from employees, but also managed to kind of improve daily operational efficiencies as well. So, for example, you've got daily opening and closing checklist, equipment inspections, maintenance reports, site inductions, risk assessment forms, incident reporting, near miss, breakdown reports, but also you've got HR and workforce management stuff like your employee feedback, your 30-day check-ins, timesheets, clock in, clock out, annual leave, that kind of thing. So forms can be used for a variety of different elements within your operations, but obviously using them for feedback is really, really useful as well. Now that we've touched on how forms and surveys can be used to gather meaningful information, feedback, and data, I wanted to quickly touch on a really great example of how you can leverage the Journeys feature to automatically gather feedback from new starters throughout their first weeks of the employee lifecycle. So this is why it's quite important to watch Tom's previous webinar if you haven't already done that. But if you do cast your mind back to Tom's webinar last month, he spoke about triggering feed posts using our Journeys feature, and it will trigger feed posts on the individual user's start date or registration date. And Journeys is a feature that's available to all of our customers, regardless of whether you're on enterprise or business. And what you can do is you can incorporate feedback forms into Journeys to target new starters and get feedback about the onboarding experience. So you might be wondering, well, Jess, I understand why forms, but why can't we incorporate surveys? It's a very good question, and it's because surveys is timed, so you have to have a start date and an end date, whereas forms is an unlimited amount of time. So you can continue to get that ongoing feedback no matter where the person is in on their employee experience or their life cycle, whereas surveys are good for like we're doing an annual survey where everyone's involved, or we just want to check up on this specific initiative. So that's why we use forms in Journeys rather than surveys in Journeys. And this is a really good example of how that's been used. It's a personal onboarding journey for one of our customers called Stagecoach. And you can see over here, 5 days after their start date, 21 days, 45 days, and 100 days after their start date, they get a feed post that says, we really care about your experience. We want your feedback. Please complete this survey. And that will link to a form in the hub that they can fill out to give their feedback on their onboarding experience. And this has worked really, really well for a lot of our customers to streamline their onboarding process and get that real-time feedback where they need it. Oh, forgot to say, and I've also just linked here a really good case study of how one of our customers have done this. So once you get these slides, you'll be able to link to that case study and see how they have been really successful with that. Again, going back to this, it's always important to make sure your surveys are regular, timely, accessible, and most importantly, actionable. Employees need to see that their feedback that they're giving is making a difference and you're actually taking action on it. Even if you just acknowledge it and say, look, we can't do that this year, but we'll think about it next year. It really encourages that kind of free-flowing sharing of feedback, and it also builds a lot of trust in the business, and it helps to continue that feedback loop that's meaningful, that's impactful for the users, for managers, and also for businesses alike as well. I rambled on for half an hour, so we have probably about 30 seconds, so I don't think I can answer any questions. But I did want to say thank you so much for joining. I'll have a quick look at the questions, and if there are any that stand out, I will send over an email, or the marketing team will send over an email with the slides and any questions that you answered. And yeah, if you have any further questions after this, just drop me an email. I'll be happy to answer where I can. But thank you for joining this one, and we'll see you hopefully at the next one.